So anybody who would like to help me build 400 light years, I got a whole bunch of reporters. I want reporters on the job reporting the news no matter what, unaligned from any organization except for 400 light years, trying to recapture the old style where you're like Greg Palast, him for instance. I appreciate Chris Hedges. You gotta be down, you gotta be like me. You gotta have a backbone and not be sold out by things the way people are so sold out by things. I mean, I understand having friendships and I understand not wanting to be embarrassed. My family, the Crimmies and the Hubbards and the Tates and the Solomons and my dear friends Ed and Pat, this is about embarrassing you all until you become as anti-war as me, because it's all been phony, you guys, right back into the 1800s. We really, really are sitting in North America with the Indians living and dying in poverty, and that's no good. And I'll tell you for one thing, if they would allow me, I'd go right back to where Uncle John was in Thiru, New Mexico, with a bunch of money, and I would just see if they would want to do a couple of things that I suggest, purely giving myself and not expecting anything and understanding the white guy is the white guy. I don't want excessive pats on the back because I quit my job for the black man in 1969, and I did it as a thing because I'm a Crimmy, and I was in the, my Strathmore Printing. My best friend's grandfather started Strathmore Printing, and I did it as a thing, but you know what, I've never mentioned it in all these years ever until now, because I've got to get help. I have no money. I have zero money. I've written an opera, though, that should make a lot of money, and it should be really good. And if you listen to it, any musicians out there, I want the best musicians that I can possibly get. But I also know that it's a middle of the road kind of rock music. I don't think you need to be absolutely stellar musicians, but I know that I could be the worst musician in the band, and it would be a great band because I'm not bad. And my whole idea is to create an opera for the school, for Aurora University to be implanted there somewhere. If the school doesn't want it, at least there, because I can't get 30 people to volunteer unless they're students to be in my opera, and it's about Aurora College. It is about my piercing my ear, and then 50 or 100 guys copying me, or however many guys it took, and that created a worldwide trend. You were not allowed to pierce your ears, regular, normal men, because it was too scary and no one would, it just was not done. The only reason it's done is because of me, and then being in Rube Tubin and being a bit of a star, which I'd like to recapture, because I never did it on the outside world the way I wanted to, even though I've played with people like like Randall, who was Tom Petty's original drummer, and I played with Ramon, who was Fats Domino's lead guitarist, and Eddie and Alex Van Halen, and a whole bunch of other people, mostly unknowns. But anyway, I'd like to. My guitar invention. That's a small light. It's called light manufacturing. Now, I don't know how many units I can sell of something that's going to be fairly costly. I don't know how much, but it's a design product, and I would never send it off to China. I want to build a small manufacturing company to make my guitar invention, but you've got to already own a guitar, and you've got to be a fairly serious musician to want one. So how many am I going to sell? I don't know. But maybe I could make a small fortune with that. I know if Neil Young was my partner, and we started right off the bat from marketing it, because I'm telling you, people love it. The few guitarists that I've shown it to absolutely love it, and it's a real thing. It's an invention. It's different than anything else, and it came from an idea in my head, and it's related to the Teva sandal. So it's very important that it be made by me, and it be made the exact way that I thought of it in 1982 when I made it in Santa Barbara. My prototype. I've used it ever since then, and it's not a finished product in any way, but it worked. It did exactly what I intended it to do, and I've been the test dummy all this time, because I did have a question whether it would hold up over a period of time, and yeah, it holds up great. And yeah, I'd really like to have either John Fogerty or Neil. There's reason for each one of these people, but either Neil Young or John Fogerty or the PRS guy, Paul Reed Smith, because he's exactly about the guitar design. About making a guitar, he's exactly like me. It comes from, you never compromise on the concept. You always try to make it absolutely the best. And my guitar concept is completely unique. It's completely Gene Sea Dog Crimmies, and it relates to the Teva sandal, and it helps me prove the Teva sandal. And everything about this website is about making my shares in the Teva sandal swindle invoice valuable. The more value I can bring to those shares, meaning I sell more comes into the website, and better chances of them paying the invoice. This could all work, but every piece of it I need help with, and none of it, I'm at my age, none of it is anything I'm going to be involved with. I would like to establish something, especially for student age people, and especially for the students of Aurora University, because that's my alma mater. And 400 light years, if you guys will start my class with me, I don't have an idea. I just came up with this the other day, that it really should be turned into a class, but you should know about prohibition the way I do. You should be as upset about oil exploration as I am. Oil should have never been used. None of you know that gasoline is not a product. It's just a poison, and it's a leftover thing after they've already made the plastics and the kerosene and everything. They just needed to get rid of this shit, and so they put it in cars. And the Rockefellers used the Republican Party and the crazy Christians to come up with prohibition to kill alcohol being made for automobiles. All this time, all the smog that I endured growing up in Los Angeles in the 50s and 60s, and, along with the Van Halens, and inhaling all of that stuff. I remember swimming in the Sanders pool. Our next door neighbor had a pool on a hot, smoggy Pasadena day, and breathing the chlorine coming up from the water, and it just burning my lungs. And there was never a reason for the smog, never a reason for these oil wars. We got to stop all the fracking. There's no way, unless you students get a hold of Congress the way I said. I don't see, unless you actually get a hold of Congress, shut it down, and say you're only going to pass law after law after law that is a benefit to the American people, like 80% majority of people agree to things. We could save this economy. The Crimean Hubbard families are a complete testament. My grandparents, what happened to them, going from the Depression to getting the little money because of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, my Uncle Don really becoming successful, World War II ending, the buildup, everything. You guys have to at least know as much as I know. And I never hear anyone talking about the Dulles brothers and what they did, and so many things. And I never hear anybody talk about how alcohol was the appropriate fuel for cars. None of this should have ever happened. The wars, all of the wars that America's been involved in, you guys, the military has never been good. There's still more wars, more of the silly military awards have been given the American military for killing the American Indians. In all this time, World War II, World War I, Vietnam, everything, Korea, still more medals were given for killing the American Indians. Their land, just like in Palestine, what's happening right now. There's so much to do, but because I think everything's lost, we might as well share it together. So take my class, and really, if I get enough interest, and I get enough interest in the Aurora University area, I'll come visit that, and we can establish what the class could be. Because I ain't going to teach it myself, really. I want all of my research, my 50,000 to 100,000 hours of research, I want you guys to do some of it. I'll tell you what really kept me interested. What is it called? It had legs, the things that had legs, like prohibition, like the fact that everyone should have a still. Everyone should know how to do that. That's a basic thing that humans have been doing, and for the Nazis to be able to cause prohibition to happen for long enough to make sure we use gasoline and not alcohol. You didn't know that before, but there's a bunch of those things, and I think we should be more than just a press presence. I think we should also be we should also be an action. We should have enough people to cause action to happen.